It's almost time.
Now we'll find out once and for all about Clark Kent and Superman.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a TV show.
Yes, but who is he? What's his name?
He's Superman.
Golly, Clark, won't that be wonderful seeing Superman?
Fighting a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and television the MeTV way.
No one can do the things that Superman does.
The adventures of Superman.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high-efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Good morning. I'm Monty Torres with KMPH Fox 26 News. Don't touch that dial. You are watching Connect with Me TV on MeTV Fresno on this Tuesday. John Mallows couldn't be here today. I will do my best to fill in for him and keep up to his high standards. Today, March 10th, 2015. It's Tuesday. The focus on Connect with Me TV on Tuesdays is business. That's what we'll be doing today. We'll be talking to a local business, featuring a local business that's been in operation successfully for almost 5 decades. What's it take to do that? We'll let you know when we come back. We'll be back right after this with more Connect with Me TV Live. Stay tuned. Good morning, and once again, it is March 10th, Tuesday, 2015. I'm Monty Torres with KMPH Fox 26 News, filling in for John Mallows. John will be back tomorrow. Couldn't be here today, but I am happy to be here with you. Let me get right to something right now, by the way. You may be noticing that you're not seeing your regular programming right now. For example, you may have just watched Rockford Files, Up Next Bonanza, not usually on at the times you're familiar with. That's because as of about 9 this morning, MeTV Fresno lost its satellite feed from MeTV Network in Chicago due to solar interference. Our engineers expect to resume normal programming by about noon to 1 p.m. today. In the meantime, we will be airing the East Coast feed, which is 3 hours ahead of the current local schedule. So don't worry, they are working on that. If the programs aren't what you're used to at the right times, that will be restored as soon as possible. In the meantime, you can maybe get an early preview of some of your favorite shows. All right. Let's get, first of all, on right here on Connect with Me Live to some of the channels where you can watch this right now. For example, you can see this on 13.1 and 43.6 there. That's U2 and KGMC. Also from 10 to 11 a.m. on all channels, Xfinity 187. And if you miss our 10 to 11 live time slot, you can also catch our weekday replay times and channels. 2 p.m. on 13.6 U2, 8 p.m. at 4.6 Biz TV. This is Connect with Me Live. President Calvin Coolidge is quoted as saying, "The chief business of the American people is business." And it takes a lot to start a business, a lot of perseverance, integrity, willingness to put in long hours and a lot of hard work just to launch a successful business. So what's it take to keep one going for nearly 5 decades? Well, my guest today is going to tell us something about that. He is Rusty Rasmussen with Rasmussen Auto Repair. They were established here in Fresno in 1967 and have been operating ever since. Now, things have changed a lot since 1967. So to negotiate all those decades and still remain in business and do well, it takes a number of things, not just mechanical knowledge and being able to keep up with the changing technologies, but also a very personal touch in how they deal with their customers. Bottom line is the customers are finding value here. That's why they keep coming back and telling their friends. Again, our guest today, Rusty Rasmussen, Rasmussen Auto Repair. Rusty, welcome to Connect with Me TV Live.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We're going to get to that in just 1 minute. Let me hit a few quick headlines, though, Rusty.
Absolutely.
All right. Here's what's happened while you slept overnight. In the news, Hillary meets the press. Hillary Clinton will be holding a press conference today following her appearance at the UN about those 55,000 emails at last count, emails sent on her private personal email server, not the government server, which I understand is potentially against the law. They're still trying to sort that out. Icebergs wash up on Cape Cod. Yes, it is that cold. A firestorm erupts over the GOP letter challenging Obama's power to approve Iran nuclear deal. They're challenging President Obama's ability to strike a permanent nuclear deal with Tehran. That's over the enrichment of uranium and Iran's nuclear program. And 52 senators warn of sweeping ammo bans regarding the Second Amendment. They say that's at risk. They've joined to oppose the Obama administration's move to ban a popular type of ammo used in the top-selling AR-15 rifle and pistol. Now, as I mentioned, the focus today on Connect with Me TV Live is business. So here are a few business headlines. Twitter could be planning to launch live streaming features. It comes after reports that it's acquired video service Periscope. Twitter paid just under $100 million for the startup operation. Periscope specializes in video streaming. Twitter has gradually added video features and now allows users to include 30 seconds of footage within their tweets. HBO is coming to a TV near you. Apple and HBO just announced that starting April 12th, you can buy HBO without cable. Wikipedia's parent company, the Wikipedia Foundation, is suing the National Security Agency over surveillance techniques. Wikipedia claims the NSA breached privacy of the online encyclopedia's user base. Marriott International will become the first major hotel chain to accept Apple Pay at check-in. And, of course, in the news, Apple's new Apple Watch details are out. The battery will last 18 hours, and it can do just about everything, apparently, and what apps they don't have for it yet, you can be sure will soon be along. Prices range from $350 at the low end to about $10,000 for the gold model. All right, you are watching Connect with Me TV Live. Rusty Rasmussen is my guest today, Rasmussen Auto Repair. We have much more just ahead. We'll be right back after this.
Watch Dr. TV on over-the-air channel 13.9.
Retro TV, your home for classic television. The greatest shows in history are here for you to enjoy. Join Cosby and Colt as secret agent men in I Spy. Ride along the Ponderosa with the Cartwrights in Bonanza. Hit the beat with Joe Friday in Dragnet. And that's not all. Retro TV offers endless fun and excitement for the whole family to enjoy. Retro TV, the best in classic television.
You can find Retro TV on over-the-air channel 13.4.
Welcome back to Connect with Me TV Live here on Me TV Fresno. I'm Monty Torres, filling in for John Malos. My guest today on Focus on Business Tuesday is Mr. Rusty Rasmussen. He is with the well-known and long-established business here in Fresno, Rasmussen Auto Repair. Rusty, welcome to Connect with Me TV Live. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. You must have a secret to the success over there at Rasmussen Auto Repair. It's been around for almost 50 years. Now, if I understand correctly, your dad started this way back in, what, 1967?
67, correct, yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, all I can do is repeat the story that I've heard.
Many times, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know, I was just a young guy, you know, a kindergartner at the time, and the story goes that my mom was standing in line at the bank, and she had overheard a lady talking to somebody else there about this building that they had that was, you know, available for rent. And undoubtedly, they had had conversation about maybe starting their own business, and so she kind of got the lady's number, made the connection, and Al and Becky Adams were, you know, gracious enough to end up selling them our original business, and it's the same place that we're at, and we've grown, you know, beyond those walls, bought up neighboring properties, and now occupy 4 buildings there at 1023 North Maple.
So from humble beginnings.
Well, yeah, you know, when you look back and remember, you know, what the office consisted of and what the shop and the equipment, it kind of went with the times, you know. I guess kind of like a fish to a fishbowl, you know, we've just continued to grow into the size of the facility, and as the need came and the ability was there, we would purchase property and add buildings and staff and keep going.
And I'm going to ask you more about that in a minute, but I would like to let our viewers know, by the way, if you'd like to call in, if you have any questions for Rusty here on the show today on Connect With Me TV Live, please do. Our number is 436-ME-TV, option 11. Again, that's 436-ME-TV, option 11. ME-TV is 436-6388 as well. Again, option. Do we have a call now? I'm hearing something ring. No? Okay. I'm just hearing things. It is early for me. I'm usually doing the night news. All right. All right, Rusty, you were talking about how your dad started the business. Now, times have changed a lot since '67. Cars have changed a lot. The technology has changed a lot. Yeah. What has it taken to be able to stay up with the technology and continue, and not just to continue operating, but expand as you have? Right.
It's a continued education. The car and the technology is ever changing, and it's difficult to keep the staff trained and yourself aware of how things work and what it takes, and then the equipment that goes along with the diagnosis and the repairs of a lot of the new the new technology.
Can you give us a brief outline of some of the services you guys provide over at Rasmussen Auto Repair?
We've definitely evolved with the automobile into a lot of the technology that comes for the emissions controls and the way that fuel and ignition is controlled to help keep that, and then the smog check program, along with a lot of the safety things with the anti-lock brakes and then all the creature comforts that come in automobiles now with the the memories and the heated seats and all the power things that we've become accustomed to.
Yeah. So essentially everything needed to keep your car running smoothly and safety.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, that's good to know. Is there one thing that you would tell viewers in terms of what they can do to make your job easier, to keep their car running well?
Well, to help avoid, those unexpected breakdowns, and you've heard this in commercials and all the time, maintenance is very important.
Exactly.
We look at cars that are in, and I don't classify every vehicle, but cars that are in for planned or scheduled maintenance is one thing, and then the breakdown is another. And if you look at the breakdown and say, well, this was an item that just had a determined lifespan and it has lived that and it's failed. A lot of times those are listed as a maintenance item. So if you catch them ahead of that time, you can avoid the breakdown, the tow-in, the interruption of your schedule. The other things that are the result of, say, there was a recommendation to change a fluid and that resulted in a failure of a part. Well, you've had that and the increased expense in the repair. So it goes back to, could you have avoided it with maintenance? It's not a guarantee, but a lot of times, that is a factor, but we can't go back in time. We can only address the issue right
Keep
then.
an eye on those maintenance schedules.
Exactly.
That's important.
Yeah, the manufacturers do a pretty good job of spelling that out. And not every car has the same interval, but some of them are very close to the same, on fluid changes.
Now, among the new technology going on right now, I'm sure you're seeing a lot of too, is not quite as new, the hybrid vehicles. Yeah. And of course, there's more and more talk, more enthusiasm over the electric vehicles.
Right.
Are you seeing many of those?
No. They are a little bit new, and as they are, like any new car, for their first number of years, they're under factory warranty, and a lot of the technology that they require is still in the hands of the manufacturer and the dealerships.
So,
yeah.
But sooner or later, at some point, that'll be something you have to get around to.
Absolutely. I think back to a talk that I gave to high school students that was they were looking at careers, and I told them that watching TV and that in the year 2000 we would be driving cars that hovered above the ground and all these different things. Well, we're not there.
No,
we're still riding on rubber and so on. And so, the question came, even if how we propel the vehicle, be it electric or hydrogen or diesel or wind or whatever, solar, there's still going to be aspects of the vehicle that are going to need maintained. From windows that roll up and down to safety belts to braking systems to air conditionings and so on. So I don't see our industry going away, even with the evolution of the car.
And we're going to ask you to continue with that and more right after this. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching Connect With Me TV on Me TV. Fresno, be right back.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's 3 reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes 3.
Now on MeTV Fresno.
We get our speed from Mom and Dad.
They do stuff super fast. And now they got this new kitchen, so they're even faster. So they can help us with our free throws.
The time-saving Frigidaire Gallery line with a quick preheat and smudge-proof stainless steel that resists fingerprints and cleans easily. It's mealtime in no time, from start to clean. Frigidaire Gallery.
Save more during Frigidaire Gallery bonus days when you buy 3 or more qualifying appliances. See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Welcome back to Connect with me on MeTV Fresno. I'm Monty Torres. My guest today, Rusty Rasmussen. We're talking about Rasmussen Auto Repair. Been in business for almost 50 years now here in Fresno. All right, there must be some kind of secret, right? I mean, not just to launch a successful business, but to keep it going for about, as we mentioned earlier, about 50 years. Right. What do you attribute the success of Rasmussen Auto Repair to?
Well, you know, first we'd probably have to define, you know, success. But you know, in being in business and continuing to grow and still having a vision for the years to come, I think the success would boil down to, you know, is the way that things are handled. You know, as when you entered into the show, you had to kind of broke it down to, we try to provide a great value, you know, in the quality of the repair, the cost related, and then the service that's given. And the service would include, you know, the contact with the customer, you know, the communication. I'm sure over the years we've disappointed people, but, you know, the majority are pleased, and the biggest part of our customer base are all return customers. In other words, we've established a relationship with them and continue to do their repairs.
Now, you were telling me that your father founded the business.
Correct.
In '67. So over the years, as you were mentioning, you've heard him talk about his aphorisms, his thoughts of what it takes to be a success, and the things he was teaching to you.
You know,
share with us what your dad shared with
absolutely.
you that others can share with their kids.
In our case, the way that he shared it was by example. You know, his commitment to getting there early and staying there late, putting in a lot of hours. When a problem came along, it was if you want to challenge him to something, just say that it can't be done. And that still stands today. You know, if you say, well, I don't think we can fix that, he'll start rolling his sleeves up, because he's going to show us that it can be fixed. Where there's a will, there's a way. And, you know, that's the attitude that we take. And there's a number of jobs that we get involved with that the end result is success. As a business, you know, in the view of a business, it was not a successful profit maker, but we were able to, you know, make the correction and get the customer going and get that piece of equipment back on the road. So, you know, we don't use those business guidelines to say, well, this is not going to be profitable, we need to let it go. We still take on those jobs that we know aren't going to be, but yet it puts a feather in your cap to say, everybody said that couldn't be done, and look, we did it.
Yeah, and I'm sure the customer who couldn't find anybody else to do it appreciates the end result too.
Yeah, they do.
Very good. What about, all right, is this a secret in the auto repair trade? What about specific types of cars or brands of cars? Some of the cars you find that you work on the least because they just don't break down as much.
Right.
Any inside looks and insider reports on that?
Well, there is. I mean, if you took and printed out the demographics of the vehicles that we see, you'd have to go a little bit deeper to say, wow, you guys see a lot of Toyotas or Hondas. Well, that's because, you know, there's a lot of them on the road.
Right.
And, you know, if you look at consumer reports and you identify the little symbols, you can quickly flip through the pages and you can see groups of cars that have got a lot of the black dots and things that would be indicating major problems or multiple.
Oh, right.
So you go to the pages that have all the little lines or the little green or blue dots, and you go, well, these are good cars. You know, I think that's true, and they've made that they've made that clear. You know, that they are a more reliable and you know, an easier car to keep, you know, dollar-wise per mile.
So what does your dad drive? What do you drive?
Well, it's just like when we grow up and we take on our parents, you know, their political affiliation or their religious beliefs or their tendencies for favorite foods. You know, I grew up in a General Motors family, and, you know, my parents drive General Motors today. And, you know, I do too. But if somebody asks me, what would you buy? Don't always look at what I drive to say that, you know, that they're absolutely right. Because a person's needs can vary, you know, depending on how many miles that they drive, how much room that they need, what kind of fuel economy that they're looking for. And I'm going to have to say that, you know, the imports are pretty tough to beat.
Yeah. I've seen that change over the many years that we've been growing up and watching cars and things like that. We want to let people know, by the way, real quick, once again, about the programming issue that we have going on in terms of different times on the programs that you're used to. As of about 9 this morning, MeTV Fresno lost its satellite feed from MeTV Network in Chicago. That's due to solar interference. Engineers expect to resume normal programming by noon to 1 p.m. today. In the meantime, we will be airing the East Coast feed, which is 3 hours ahead of our current local schedule, just to update you on that. Once again, you are watching Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. We'll be right back with more after this.
Most-watched news channel in Europe.
A top-secret location. It's the spies who love me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring.
That's right.
Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar?
Possibly. And smart?
The old finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Frigidaire. It means the first refrigerator. It means a history of innovations that help make your home life better. And now we introduce the new Frigidaire French door refrigerator with over 100 ways to organize for maximum flexibility. Built with adjustable flip-up and slide under shelving and stackable crisper drawers. It's the refrigerator that flexes to fit it all, no matter what your day will bring. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country, the only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
Welcome back. You're watching Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno, live here at the Ventura Broadcasting Studios. And I'm Monty Torres, filling in for John Malos. John will be back tomorrow. All right, with me today again, our guest is Rusty Rasmussen. We're talking about Rasmussen Auto Work, a very successful business here in Fresno, been around for almost 50 years, and he's telling us some of the secrets of his success. Rusty?
Yeah, a lot of them are still secrets because I don't think that, you know, that...
But you're going to give some away today, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll let a few leak out.
We actually have a question a viewer has called in. Okay. By the way, before I go into the question, let people know if you'd like to call in and ask Rusty a question or ask me anything that you'd like to ask of him, please call us at 436-MeTV. That's 436-6388, option 11. And we do have one question right now, Rusty, if I can run this by you. What kind of old collectible cars have you seen over the years?
Oh, you know, many. I don't have a list of them, and currently the shop has got a number of them now that are, you know, rather,
right.
You know, special specimens. But
Rusty, I have Pollyann Klein on the phone. We just have somebody who called in right now. Pollyann, can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can.
Oh, hi there.
My question is I have a 2004 Mazda 6 that has a 4-cylinder motor. Is it hard to change the thermostat on it? I'll watch my answer on TV.
Thank you.
Sure. You know, that specific vehicle, you know, to say how easy or difficult that it is, a thermostat is normally pretty accessible, but there's a few that's a little bit hard, and then, you know, getting the cooling system filled back up and bled out. To be honest, I don't know the exact answer as far as difficulty and knowing what your ability and tool availability is. You know, if you wanted to give us a call at the shop, I could look up what the labor is and give you a much better idea of what's involved, either cost for our facility to do it or advice for you.
Again, thank you for that call. You know, you must have something of you and your staff there must have something of an encyclopedic knowledge to be able to be asked about a car and know already. I mean, it's as if you have the blueprint or the plans in your head to know what kind of car you're dealing with and what kind of job you're facing.
You know, I think a little bit of my lack of knowledge on that is being out of the actual work bay for so many years. There's cars that were in the 70s and 80s, when I was more active in the shop, that I could probably still tell you what was involved. But
take apart, put it back together again.
Yeah, those skills have gotten a little bit, no pun intended, but a little bit rusty.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. You were saying that you don't do much with the hybrid or the electric cars as yet because those are mostly still under warranty.
Right. Well, the hybrids aren't. The Prius has been out for a long time, and I'll be honest, they've turned out to be a lot better car than I gave them initially. Yeah, as far as reliability and so on. Their technology, some of it's pretty specific, to them, and other hybrids have tried to do it differently. But Toyota's really set the standard for that hybrid deal.
Well, speaking of that, hybrids or even electrics, I have a question for you about that. And someone asked me the other day, what is the life cycle of a hybrid or electric car like? Meaning, we pretty well understand by now, durability and things that can go wrong over time, and how well they last, how long they last, how many miles they may be able to take of conventional cars, gasoline cars. But when you're dealing with a hybrid, you're dealing with a whole battery electrical system. What happens when that car has 100,000, 200,000 miles? Does it have to replace the whole battery system? How long is that good for? Is that a major expense you're looking at?
Yeah, it is a major expense. The serviceability has opened up a little bit. You can go in and disassemble that battery and change specific parts of it, and then there's the full replacement. Now, depending on the car and so on, they'll vary anywhere, it gets into the thousands of dollars to change the hybrid battery in it. Now, just to clarify, a hybrid car still has a gasoline engine in it. It doesn't have to be gasoline, but there is a petrol-fueled engine there. And they run off of that, a lot of the time. But they shut off at intersections, and then when the car doesn't require, the aid of the gas engine, then it just runs off the electric. So it's like driving a big golf cart.
So how long are we talking in terms of mileage? How long is a battery system like that last before you have to go into the, I guess, relatively expensive replacement?
Correct. Yeah, batteries are an item that is more affected by assuming that the charging system is all functional. There's not an undercharge or an overcharge condition that would shorten their life. If all that is status quo, then they're more affected by time. So they normally time out as they become sulfated and they start to weaken. That's when they start to fail.
So what kind of lifespan then by time are we talking?
Normally, we're seeing them that'll last anywhere between around the 5-year mark. And the miles aren't as big a factor. We've seen a lot of hybrids that are in excess of 200,000 miles, and because they're basically still a gasoline-powered car with the the generating system and the electric motor and the big battery, there's still a lot of maintenance that has to take place to get them to that point.
And you're saying it can be a pretty significant expense at the end of 5 years to replace that?
It can be. They have a pretty long warranty initially, but once the car is out of that warranty, it doesn't mean that it gets thrown away when it's done. And the question that came up is, how much material that has to be disposed of. In other words, if all of the cars switched over to some kind of a battery cell or a hybrid, when those get changed, what is that going to do as far as these lead plates and these different materials that are inside? How much of it's recyclable? How much of it's rebuildable? And then how much of it has to be disposed? It's a whole nother, aspect of, environmental issues that go along with the automobile.
An important economic factor to consider, though, when getting a hybrid. I mean, that for many of us who have never had one, it's something you need to try and factor in there.
Correct, yeah. And then like an electric car, when you go to charge it up,
actually, please save that thought. We're going to take a quick break.
Absolutely.
You're watching Connect with Me live on MeTV Fresno. I'm Monty Torres. We'll be right back in a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Attention all units. We have reports of 2 motorcycle cops protecting California's highway.
That's for us, good buddy. The Men of Chips are on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Baker. I'm John Baker. It's Officer Baker.
He's the blonde one.
Hi there. Officer Poncherello, man. Frank Poncherello. Oh, I'm Frank Poncherello.
And he's the one who's Eric Estrada.
There's no way I wouldn't remember a name like that.
Catch the blonde one and the one who's Eric Estrada.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Welcome back. I'm Monty Torres, filling in for John Malos on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. And my guest today on Focus on Business Tuesday, Rusty Rasmussen of Rasmussen Auto Repair. Rusty, you were saying that you work on a wide variety of vehicles, meaning from the classics to the more modern, some of the latest vehicles.
Right. And you know, they each have their difficulty. You know, sometimes people come in and they go, I want to get my son or daughter, you know, their first car to be a 66 Mustang because they're easy to work on and so on and so forth. And there's a truth to that. But you know, also, you know, you get an older car and sometimes we're all used to you know, the exhaust doesn't smell strong and you don't have a carburetor that you have to deal with, and understanding a choke function and starting one, you know, warm versus cold and all those different, you know, squeaks and rattles that come along with an older car.
What recommendation do you have to a parent who may want to get a child an inexpensive but reliable early first car?
Yeah,
okay, that's a pretty broad question.
It is, and it's okay. And I'm going to go back to when my kids started driving. You know, there's always that question, and you've seen this over the years of, you know, how good of a driver are they going to be? You know, when you put them in, you put them in a nice new car. You want them to be safe. You know, those are all true statements. And then you take mom's car and you hand it down, and mom gets a new car, and that car that you've cared for so long, all of a sudden now becomes, you know, kind of messy inside, and you know, knocks a mirror off and runs into something because they just don't have their skills honed. And you know, I was fortunate.
So get a tank.
Yeah. That would be helpful, except for whoever they hit. But you know, my kids, they were good as far as not wrecking cars, and you know, they were real respectful of it, and you know, a lot of times that is the case. But you know, I would go for something that you know, is more reliable, and but has a lot of the safety aspects. You know, people want their kids to be in cars that have airbags, and has the later model seatbelt technology.
There that you're familiar with?
You know, not saying that, you know, the Hondas and the Toyotas and the Nissans are the only ones to do. I mean, you know, all the big three, you know, Chrysler, General Motors, and Ford all have, you know, quality vehicles. You know, some parents will look and say, well, I want my kid in something that only has 2 seats in it. That way there's the only chance of them and one other passenger. I don't want them to be the taxi cab. Right. Hey, you know, that's great. You know, or if they have to buy their own gas, we'll put them in the Suburban, and they can't afford to drive a whole lot. You know, there's different angles that they come at, you know, to try to solve this problem. But you know, you don't want your kid to be broke down all the time. You know, you don't want to be broke down, or your wife, or you know, your company doesn't need guys out broke down. So you just have to stick with stuff that's pretty reliable and keep up with the maintenance.
Hey, we want to again invite our viewers to know that if you would like to connect with us here on Connect with Me Live, you can call us if you have any questions for Rusty or for me, or anything you think we may be able to help answer. Please give us a call at 436-ME-TV. Again, that's 436-6388. Hit option 11. We're here talking, waiting for your call, so please join us. Rusty, you're talking about you work on cars from classics to moderns. You know, you've been hearing a lot in the news lately about the technology you're working on, self-driving cars.
Right.
As a car guy, what do you think of that?
Okay, I have to, you know, personally, and a car guy, I think it's on the car guy side. It's pretty amazing of the technology that goes into it. When we first were starting to hear about cars that had the ability to sense vehicles around them, to apply the brake, to disengage the cruise control, to warn you when you're going out of the line, and then cars that self-park themselves, my first knee-jerk reaction was, if you can't drive that good, then why do you drive? I mean, parking a car used to be part of the driver's test,
right?
Yeah, and now we have cars that park themselves. It's just like as the standard transmissions went away and automatics, and we used to have cars that we would loan to people, and when you'd pull it up and hop out, and they'd sit down in it, and they go, "Oh, this is a stick shift," and it's like, "Yeah," and they go, "I can't drive a stick," and you go, "Oh." That's not their fault. They just grew up in a family that they didn't have access to it. But when we get to the point where we get in an automobile and they go, "Oh, this isn't a self-driver," I actually don't know how to drive. I mean, I don't know where our society is going.
Apart from the navigation system, it may really not change much of what you do, because you're still talking about vehicles that are going to be powered by electric or gas, or in some cases hydrogen, or whichever. So you'll still be having to do what you do.
We do. I think we've got too much invested in our highways and roadway systems, and even if we had cars that hovered above the ground, there's still going to be aspects of them that are going to need some kind of service or repairs.
Now, what about hydrogen vehicle? That represents some different sorts of challenges.
Right. If you notice that the whole buzz about hydrogen is kind of dropped off, and the excitement over it was great. I think the clean exhaust and the theory was good. They've overcome a lot of the deals. But where the struggle has come up is the reality of storing and refueling the vehicles, and the cost that's involved to pressurize the hydrogen and put it into the vehicle. So this came to light after a lot of the technology was developed in making the thing work. But the reality of having them out there and refueling them, and the cost related to that, has kind of put them back a number of spaces. And because of the commitment to the hydrogen vehicle development, there was a lot of technology that had to go with direct injected vehicles and these newer diesels that have got the real high mileage. That has been in Europe for a number of years, and basically...
What's the holdup in getting those here?
Well, the United States had said, hey, we've got a commitment to this hydrogen thing, and we're trying to get away from fossil fuels. If we bring in these high mileage diesel vehicles, all we're doing is putting ourselves back. We're still reliant on fossil fuels. And so I don't know if they had put a time period on it, or if the manufacturers of those vehicles had just kind of broken down the barriers, but they're starting to make their way to the United States, and we're seeing those.
And the progress in the area of hydrogen fuel, not what was expected?
As far as my knowledge, I don't have anything to really substantiate that. But all of the things that we've been to, as we started to want to train and learn more about them, and to be ahead of the curve there, the momentum of that program has sort of dropped off, and the cause that I understand has to do with the storage of it and the refueling costs and the pressurization of it and the pumps.
Yeah, it's not as energy dense as gas either, fossil fuels, I understand. So you need a bigger fuel compartment of some kind to contain that. Same true of natural gas?
Natural gas is a little bit different. It doesn't have the same volatility. You don't make the exact same amount of horsepower, and then the storage of it is different. The thing that people maybe don't realize is that ethanol, it takes a greater volume of ethanol to generate the same amount of energy.
Yes.
So this affects our fuel mileage. So when we see ethanol on a fuel pump, on a gasoline pump, and we go, oh well, that's good. We're utilizing something that's not a fossil fuel, and it's cleaner and so on. Keep in mind that your engine takes more of that, and it determines that through the oxygen sensor. When it knows that it's lean because the fuel is, quote, oxygenated, then it has to deliver more, and our fuel mileage goes down.
Yeah, also, I've heard that it can be more corrosive to in operating our engine systems. Do you find that to be the case?
We don't see a big problem with that. I know that when we first went to unleaded fuels, the lead served as a lubricant for internal engine parts, and we would see parts wear out prematurely. Like propane or natural gas has that same problem as far as, no cushion between, moving parts like valves and valve seats and piston rings and cylinder walls. But as far as the ethanol aspect of it, that the percentage that we're running, we're not seeing premature wear. But engine materials have definitely improved. I mean, engines last longer. The ones that fail are normally because of a self-inflicted wound, lack of maintenance.
I've seen that personally. We'll have much more to come. You're watching Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. We'll be right back after this.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Hello again, I'm Monty Torres with KMPH Fox 26 News here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno today. We're here live. I'm filling in for John Malos, and my guest is Rusty Rasmussen with Rasmussen Auto Repair. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you, we'd like you to join us. Please give us a call. Our number 436-MeTV. That's 436-6388. Option 11, we would like to handle your question. If you've got a question about the car you drive or the car you think you want to drive or get, give us a call. We'll ask Rusty here if there's anything you think I can answer. Can't imagine what, but feel free to call. We'll be waiting for you. All right, Rusty, a couple of questions have come in for you. Let me ask them for you right now. One email question we got was, what's the worst lemon of all time, according to you?
Of all time? You know, there's a few that kind of fit into that category. I think some of the cars have gotten a bum rap, you know, due to different things. You know, I know that the Corvair sticks out in people's mind, and it was, you know, it was a lot of, you know, different technology at the time, and, you know, Ralph Nader and his group did a lot of great things for the auto industry, but he pretty much did kill that car. You know, the Yugo jumps up as a car that was, you know, it came in as a real, you know, economical car.
We had all kinds of Yugo jokes.
Yeah, you know, the one that I love is.
Isn't it 3-cylinder?
No, it was a 4-cylinder.
Okay.
There are 3-cylinder cars out there, but you know, those are the ones that come to mind. I think if you went into the automobile encyclopedia and you really looked, I mean, there was cars that they tried to utilize some turbine technology back in the 60s. There's cars today that, you know, that have some different, you know, engines in them. You know, Chrysler's got they got a 2.7 that has an internal water pump that fails. You know, if somebody called me and said, I'm thinking about buying one of these cars, boy, I would get really passionate and say, even if somebody gave it to you, I think that it would be a mistake, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another question we have. Now, you were talking about diesel, high mileage diesel. Well, somebody's here asking, what is clean diesel that VW is touting? Is there such a thing?
Yeah. Basically, you know, what it does is diesel fuel, the fuel itself has evolved just like gasoline did. They've taken certain things out of it. If you drive a diesel, you're aware that, you know, there's more than just, you know, diesel, you know, number 2 now, or they've got, you know, they got low sulfur and ultra low sulfur. Sulfur served as a lubricant in diesel fuel just like lead did in gasoline.
Right.
So it was hard on the diesel engines, but that cleans up a lot of the things that generate, you know, emissions. So by the fuel delivery and the efficiency of burning it, then they're able to keep it cleaner.
Rusty, we have a caller right now. Let's take this call. Caller, you with us? Do you have a question for Rusty?
Yes, I do. Hi, Monty, first of all. Thank you for coming on today. It's great to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
Rusty, I have a question with regards to family car. I'm going to have a family of 5. You know, we have a Dodge Durango with the 3rd seat. It's an older model, maybe about 10 years old. It's lasted a really long time, but I think it's getting close to the end of its days. And I'm just looking, what would you recommend today on today's market that would be a good family car that's economical, reliable, good on gas mileage,
safe
and could
too,
accommodate you know a family of 5?
Right.
One of the things that I like about the Durango is that even when all seats are up, we still have some trunk space where we could, you know, put our luggage and whatnot. So, kind of looking to you as a mechanic, auto repair guy. You know, probably ones that probably come in lease, I guess, would be my question. And what would you recommend?
Right.
I'll take my answer over the air.
Thank you.
You know, when you talk about something that's as a brand new model, sometimes technology changes. So we give those vehicles a lot of credit from their predecessor. So like in this gentleman's case, he's got specific needs. He's got to have enough seats to handle his family. And then he's driving a Durango, and so not knowing exactly if they tow with it and so on, a lot of times that will put you in a category where there's only certain vehicles that would fill that need.
Right.
In his case, if he had a good experience with his Dodge, I would have to say, and you're shopping new, is to start back with that same manufacturer and see what's still available today. and do your research. Look at the consumer reports and the J.D. Powers and those. Go to the owners' forums online and see what people are saying about that specific vehicle, and see if there's any dark clouds that surface, and then go and just like in the Durango's case, I know that Ford has the Explorer that has a new body style and it looks real nice. Is to go and look and see what they have and how it drives, and go drive them. And if you're really curious and that's difficult, a lot of times you can rent a similar vehicle. It may not be equipped exactly the same. Rent one for a weekend and take a trip and see if you like the way the thing drives and shifts and steers and how the seats feel, and if there's any weird blind spots that you can't deal with. Like, it's always good to know those things before you make a purchase.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need to do that. I find that if I'm going to buy a new car, I do like to grab one and test drive it around as much as I can, and then just get the feel of it. Sometimes you might be surprised at which car you end up that you thought you would be in something else, and you found something you like better.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me ask you about, a lot of people use aftermarket products, aftermarket oil additives. You can find in some of the stores aftermarket octane or fuel boosters. Is there much value to that, and do they do anything to the car that you don't want to happen?
Right. Anytime that people will ask me this question, and not all oil additives do exactly the same thing. It is a big market, and I'm not saying that some of them are snake oil or anything like that, but it depends what exactly it is that you're trying to address. Just keep in mind, a lot of times that additives are more of a maintenance thing, that they're not always a cure. So if you've got an injector problem and you're applying an injector cleaner, that probably should have been done on a regular basis prior to avoid the issue, because once that injector's plugged up, if you can't get the cleaner to where the pluggage is, because there's no flow, then it's not going to be able to resolve the problem. And just like oil additives, if you're trying to build up what's currently in the oil, or if you're trying to address maybe an accumulation of sludge or debris that's in the oiling system, you don't want to break up a bunch of that all at one time and flow it into the oil pickup tube or the filter. I mean, the filter is going to get changed, so you're going to dispose of it, but if you get too much of that stuff moving with a cleaner aspect, you can plug things up that you don't want to.
So when it comes to an injector cleaner, an aftermarket injector cleaner, better to have that handled in the shop, in your shop, or wherever you go to get your car made?
Yeah, you can, there are more concentrated mixtures that we have, and we can administer directly through the fuel rail.
Right.
But the ones that you would add to your tank, my advice would be is don't over-applicate. In other words, if one bottle is good, don't do two.
Rusty, we have another email question here.
Okay.
And they're asking, isn't your guest a Hall of Fame midget driver from the past? Is that true?
I guess that would be a true statement. I'm not sure who sent that in. That's pretty funny.
Let's ID this. Okay, when we're talking to midget driver, what kind of cars?
Okay, a midget is a type of race car, and it's an open-wheel car that was real popular.
Single seat?
Right after the war. Single seat, a lot of times powered with a 4-cylinder engine, and they run on tracks that vary anywhere from like a quarter mile up to half miles and bigger.
So what did it take to become a Hall of Famer in this?
Somebody feeling sorry for you.
I doubt that.
Actually, I was fortunate enough, and this kind of goes back to my dad and his abilities. I drove for my dad, and it started off as a hobby, and then it kind of turned into a semi-profession, I guess. And for 10 years, I raced cars locally and into the Midwest. And I'm gonna say I had good success, but a lot of that success came from the car finishing and the car performing night after night after night, and that's a testament, to somewhat of my mechanical abilities, but the majority was my dad's abilities to figure things out, put a car on the track.
So how long did you drive in the midget racers?
My career started in '79 and it ended in '89.
Wow, that's a good long
career.
Yeah,
10 years. Yeah, had a good time.
Do you miss it?
There's aspects of it that I miss, but as our lives change,
one every so often just to get the old thrill.
Yeah, no, I think I'm afraid that I'll be drawn back into the sport.
Okay.
And I know that my skills aren't there, my eyesight and my reflexes aren't there.
Rusty, we have a caller again. Hi, caller, you're on Connect with Me here. Would you have a question for Rusty?
Yeah, Russ, let me ask you a question. A couple of years ago, I inherited 2 Chevy Impalas, lowriders, okay? And I knew something of them and all that because they're chrome rim and all that, but what he did was leave them to me because we got along really well, and I kind of have them in the garage because I guess they used them more for show. But I inherited these two 62 as a 62 and a 58. I mean, they're beautiful. I mean, he spent a lot of money on it. But what kind of oil would you use on that type of vehicle, and what kind of gas would I do? It's great on gas. I don't know why those Chevy Impalas were doing real well as far as gas and oil. I really not really a mechanic. I'm planning to take both of them, you know, but I want to make sure it's going to be someone reputable where I can trust that person, because my nephew really had a keen eye on. He was really more of a mechanic than I am. But what type of number one, oil and continued gas? I don't think I have to go to the top grade gas, because Chevy Impalas in those days is still, you know, they're still wearing into the super stuff and all that. So I just want to ask you a question. Those cars, I mean, I could take it to an auction and probably sell them, you know, and I've had people come over, hey, would you like to sell this? But, you know, they're my nephews and all that, and I just want to, you know, if I do decide it, there's going to be some money involved, but I would give it to the family, you know, because I did inherit it, and I kind of felt bad that, you know, so I just want to let you know, Rusty.
Thank you for your call. He'll give you your answer right now. Thanks for your call. Go ahead. 6258 Impala, what's the best?
Okay, what I was hearing was two questions there. And assuming that the cars are, you know, that they're functional and they've been, you know, regularly driven and ran and doesn't have any issues from being stored.
Right.
And again, we're assuming that the cars are older. The technology that was in that engine originally, and as far as the compression ratio and the materials and so on, as far as gasoline goes, you know, if the car doesn't ping or have any issues with it, you know, I would start off with, you know, the lower graded fuel, and if needed, step it up, you know, by octane level.
Right.
You know, there isn't any point in putting a more expensive fuel in a car that it doesn't need. All fuels now are unleaded, and so, you know, I'm going to say that there's probably been internal repairs done, and you know, you got what you got.
And oil?
The oil, oil has had, you know, an element removed from it, and it was called zinc. And zinc turned out to be harmful to catalytic converters. These cars they preceded catalytic converters, so there's no issue there. Buying oil that has zinc in it is tough. You have to, you know, search out and find a product that's used in like agriculture stationary engines that has zinc, and if you can't do that, you want to use something that's in the, you know, the 10W30 or a straight 30 weight, and then use some kind of additive to help build up its lubrication properties.
Rusty, we want to talk more about oil because I know that can be important to the maintenance of a car. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break. This is Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. We'll be right back.
You can find movies on over-the-air channel 13.3. Movies. Our name says it all.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Welcome back. You're watching Connect with Me. I'm Monty Torres, filling in for John Malos. My guest today, Rusty Rasmussen with Rasmussen Auto Repair. We were talking oil just before the break, and I mean, it may sound like a mundane topic, but that's very important for the long life of your vehicle. That's something that every owner can do. But what about best oils and the difference between synthetic oils and others?
Right. Yeah, there's definitely engines that require a synthetic oil. It has to do with the interval that they give for the, you know, the oil change. And then also the weight of oil. You know, we're all used to hearing, you know, the 30 weight or the 5W30 or so on. A lot of the lighter oils, you know, to a 520, even down to a 020 oil, when they pour out of the can, they almost look like water. But if you get too thick of oil in there, that oil has to pass through a number of small orifices, And when it's trying to pressurize that, if you think you're squeezing a honey bottle that's, that's room temperature, and the pressure that it takes to get it to come out of that hole versus when it's warmed up,
thicker oil,
or a thinner product out of the same bottle, that oil is trying to do that through your engine, and the oil pump is pushing it.
So are thinner oils better, generally speaking?
Well, thinner oil a lot of times would develop, an easier turning, easier to pump, better flowing. The engines are designed with clearances that are for that. So to vary the oil viscosity wouldn't be advisable. You want to stick with whatever the manufacturer built that engine for.
And when it comes to synthetic versus natural oil, what's...
Synthetic has got a longer lifespan. It still can collect contaminants with fuel and dirt particles, but it doesn't break down. Introducing synthetic oil into an older petroleum engine sometimes will help you identify oil leaks that you wish you never did. So what I'm trying to say is synthetic isn't always the best oil for every single application.
Okay. We have another email question, and it is, with lower fuel prices, will we see gas guzzlers make a comeback?
Well, I'm going to say probably not. I wouldn't get too accustomed to low fuel prices.
Well, I would agree with you. I don't think anybody wants to spend more on gas than they...
Right.
I mean, even if prices go down, which we know is all too rare and all too short-lived.
I think so. I agree. I don't think you're ever going to see them come back. The manufacturers now are held to a corporate fuel economy average. And that continues to get higher and higher and higher. So when you see a company that makes a car that still gets 12 miles to the gallon, to offset that, somewhere they've got a car that gets 40 miles to the gallon.
You were mentioning that Rasmussen Auto Repair started in 1967. There was something, in your opinion, that was a little bit magical about that time.
And I don't know what it is, and I don't know if the viewers may have an answer, and if we could, get their thoughts on it. But over the years, I had identified a number of businesses locally that also started in 1967.
Auto-related businesses?
Auto-related business. The first one that comes to mind was Decker Auto Parts, which he has sold out, and it's now Smith Auto Parts, but they started in 1967. German Auto Repair started in 1967. Sebring West started in 1967. And I'm just kind of curious of what was going on in 1967 or other businesses that, took that time to launch a business. Was that just local, or was that, nationally, or what was going on in 67?
So either 67 was a good year for auto-related businesses, or those cars of that era needed a lot of work.
That could be. It could be that we're starting to see the downfall of the automobile.
Yeah, very good. Well, you're still looking now. You're located at 1023 North Maple. Was that where you were first?
Yeah.
And that's not your original site.
It is the original site.
Oh, it is just expanded on it, though.
Correct. Yeah.
How much larger now than it used to be?
Oh, in actual numbers, I'm going to have to say that we've probably grown.
Employees, overall size?
Yeah. My dad's very first employee is still employed. He's on the verge of retiring.
That says a lot.
Yeah, he was hired and came to work there. Went off to the Vietnam War, came back, and has continued to work there. And so this first employee is still employed there. And we have grown, I'm going to say that we have grown, fourfold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rusty Rasmussen, it is great to be here with you. It's a pleasure to meet you. I appreciate it. Rasmussen Auto Repair at 1023 North Maple Avenue. If you want to get your car checked out, if you want to check them out, go ahead and do that, 1023 North Maple. John Malos will be back Wednesday. His guest will be Terrence Frazier, who runs a baseball clinic. He's going to talk about Granite Park, current status, and the future of Granite Park. A lot of people have been asking that question. And as for myself, it's been a pleasure to be here with you and to fill in for John. You can always join me at Game Page Fox 26, 10 o'clock news. I'm there Monday through Friday. Again, my name is Monty Torres. Please do join us there. That's it for today. Connect with me, MeTV Fresno. Have a great day, everybody. Good night. Good night.